Hello, happy dwellers, and welcome to the Happy Dwelling Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here with me today, and I hope you have been well and are creating those great habits so your dwelling place can be a happy one. Hello, beautiful people, and thank you so much for being here. I am releasing this episode at a weird time just because I want you guys to have ample content to consume during your Thanksgiving prep, and so it's being released on Wednesday. So that's why that's happening. And secondly, I wanted to kind of introduce my guests a little bit. I have on today Levar Richmond, and we're talking about being physically active, which is the area of health that I need to work on the most. So in this episode, you'll see how he kind of inspires me to do that. And his information will be in the show notes as always. So if you want to reach out to him, he does virtual coaching as well as in-person coaching in New York City. He is definitely a good resource, and he knows what he's talking about. So I'm excited to share this episode with you because of that. And before we get into it, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's Thanksgiving season, and I'm so thankful for you guys. And with that being said, I would appreciate it a lot if you would share this, comment on it, subscribe if you're on YouTube, or on any podcast platform as well, and leave a review because it means a whole lot to me and it kind of helps me to keep going with this. I do this for free in between all the other responsibilities that I have in life, and I'm not complaining because I love doing this, but that would be the biggest gift that you can give me if to give back for this podcast. So yes, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy. Can you tell me one thing that you're grateful for in this moment?
Ooh, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for a lot of things. I mean, biggest thing I'm grateful for right now is my son that I'm expecting. He's coming out December 27th, God willing. So
Oh,
I'm very grateful for him and the family that I've been blessed with. Yeah, I'm grateful for you too for allowing me on this podcast. To be honest, it's my first time doing a joint podcast with somebody, so it's really exciting. I'm a little nervous, but I'm looking forward to it.
you have nothing to be nervous about, and congratulations on your son. That's huge. So you're gonna be a great dad. I know it. So that's exciting.
Appreciate you.
Can you give us a little bit of a background about who you are, what you do, what you stand for, all of that?
hmm hmm Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Levar Richmond. Small town, well, big town guy from New York City, Queens, New York. And I run a consulting and online coaching business called Move by Faith Fitness, where I'm just trying to spread the message of freedom through health, through fitness, through taking control of your habits, taking control of your mindset, taking control of your inputs and your outputs. And fitness is just the vehicle,
Yeah.
but I want it to be more of a holistic thing where we can actually take all the aspects of health and just integrate them in a way that's empowering to the individual. So that's what
Okay.
Move by Faith Fitness is about right now.
Nice. What got you into fitness, if you don't mind me asking?
Um, well, I have a picture of me from like elementary school, like doing like shoulder presses, like dumbbells for like a career
Mm-hmm.
day type of thing. So I think I was always called to it. And then I grew up playing sports, grew up playing basketball, martial arts, stuff like that. So I was always around kind of like fitness, but I wasn't like super into working out yet. I would do it once in a while. Um, but I guess when I went to college, awkward. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you hi. I started, going to the gym with the guys, and I would work out, and I enjoyed it just because it was a place where we got to just get together
Mm-hmm.
and just be guys and pump iron and grow together. I think that was the biggest thing, the brotherly community.
Right.
Um, but then as I started researching more and trying to figure out my career path, um, I knew that one of the steps that I wanted to take before going to my career path was at the time I thought was physical therapy. I wanted to get my personal training a license as a stepping stone.
Okay.
So I had went to Oakwood. I took a personal training class because they had one. At the time, I wasn't that doing that well in school. I was kind of focused on a bunch of other things. So I ended up like at the end of the semester where you have to take the actual personal training test. I
Right.
kind of just had to cram. And then I had like a girl I was talking to at the time, like take my CPR exam for me and everything like that. I wasn't doing great. And I failed, I failed the test. I failed the test. But eventually I got my life together. But I failed the test and then I came back to Queens, studied at Queens College. I
Hmm.
entered in exercise science, and that's when I started learning more about health. I started learning more about fitness, how the body works and stuff and whatnot. And then I'll fast forward and then I'll go back to around that time because there's something that happened that was important to me at
Right.
that time as well. But fast forwarding, there was a time where I randomly got an opportunity from Equinox, which is one of the luxury gyms, Equinox.
Right.
They wanted me to be a personal trainer. They're like, oh, let's set you up for an interview. I didn't have a personal training certification yet because I failed in college. So I
Right.
was like, you know what? All right, it's time for me to get right. Um, so I ended up studying like that week, like really, really serious. Um, but my mind, since I've been learning and growing in the field, um, it was a lot easier. I understood things a lot better. So even
Right.
though I technically crammed this time too, I
Yeah.
ended up passing this time with flying
Nice.
colors. Did the interview with Equinox, went through the first interview. Second interview, um, with the actual gym that they wanted me to go to, they said I didn't have enough experience and to go to another gym
Okay.
for 6 months and then come back. And I was just like, dang, I did all this for nothing. So I have a cousin of mine that worked at Crunch
Okay.
in Manhattan as well in Times Square. I went there to go work out and I was like, you know what? Since he already works here, I might as well see if I could talk to the personal training manager. I already
Yeah.
need a job. Um, so I ended up going there looking for the personal training manager. He wasn't there. The sales manager was like, hey, go work out, come back a little later. So I did. I went to work out, do whatever I got to do. Not really know what I'm doing. Wasn't that great back then. But I came back down and I see him and he's like, hey, are you ready for your interview? And I was just like, what? Like, yeah, I'm ready
Okay.
for my interview. So we ended up talking, hitting it off, and he hires me on the spot.
Wow.
And what actually happened was there was a guy, my friend Will,
Hmm.
he had an interview for that day and that time, but he didn't get to come.
Hmm.
And so I ended up being there at the perfect time to get
Wow.
that job, even though it wasn't for me, but God had it for me. Um, so that's how I got into fitness in general. There's a lot more. I don't know how much more you want me to go. I know you have other questions for me.
To be honest with you, I'm a sucker for stories. Can you give me like 3 more minutes of it, and then we'll
Yeah.
ask the rest of the questions.
Hmm. So going back, I had family members who were getting ill, like diabetes. I had an aunt that died from cancer. Just seeing my mom had diabetes. She's in remission now. She's good, but
Praise
um,
God.
because for real, because of the ailments that my family members and loved ones had, and just seeing how these lifestyle diseases affect our communities, things that are easily reversible, things that we don't really have to deal with, but because of epigenetics,
Yeah.
and because of our current nutrition and um,
Lifestyle. Yeah.
fitness lifestyle status, we just end up having these things that we don't need to have. And around that time, I started learning more about these things that are reversible, how we can lower insulin with just walking, or getting a fish oil helps you cut down 20% of fat,
Yeah.
just by taking a fish oil supplement, or having a multivitamin allowing you to, it lowers like anger across all populations.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Just things like that that we don't really know. Which is why I'm so into this now, because I just want the education to be out there, because for you to um take things seriously, you have to be educated about a thing. So if we
Yeah.
become students of health and fitness, and we will start to integrate these things into our lifestyles, because we'll see that they actually make a difference.
Right.
If you don't know that something actually makes a big difference, then you're not going to take it as it's that important. And then you're not going to do it. But
Yeah.
it's really, really powerful. I had an aunt of mine, not a blood relative, but an aunt of mine. She had a lot of these things: diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all of these things. And I was learning, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to help you. I'm learning that we can reverse all of these things." So I was really going hard into the research, into the books, and everything like that. About 2018, I believe. But sadly, she passed away right when the time where I felt like I could actually help her.
Yeah.
And so it threw me into like a depression. Like it was like, dang, like I'm doing all of this and I can't even help the people that I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
Um,
It works like that sometimes. I mean, I think everybody has stories. Everybody that's in the health community has a story similar to that, where someone that you love dies or is sick, and it gets you more and more
yeah,
motivated. But I look at it as this, like, now you have the tools to help somebody else because
yeah,
of what the work that you put in for your aunt. Like, you're saving so many other lives, and
mm,
it was unfortunate, but yeah, you're so much
yeah,
better for it.
yeah. Very unfortunate, and I definitely probably would not have dove as deep into it. God only knows if that didn't happen. I don't want to use that as like that
Yeah.
had to happen, but
Yeah.
it just is what it is at this point. Rest in peace.
So fitness is your thing. You seem like on all your social media content, nutrition is also kind of your thing. You're
Mhm.
very well rounded, it seems like. Um,
Thank
can
you.
you, you're welcome. Can you tell me why prioritizing fitness should be at the top of somebody's list, or at somewhere close to the top of someone's list of what doing things for their health?
Right. Yeah, fitness is definitely towards the top. I actually think that at this point in my career, I think that having your sleep like locked in is, I think the sleep is like the pinnacle foundation of
Okay.
health. I do. And we could talk a little bit more about why I believe that. But fitness is just as important. Like they're neck and neck. You know what I'm saying? Um, just there's so many reasons, like just being stronger, feeling stronger, in terms of aesthetics. If you look good, you feel good. You know what I'm saying? Giving your body a chance to grow and adapt and testing your limits. Um, increasing your immune system, you know, keeping your heart rate low, um, just reducing your risk of all cause mortality,
Yeah. Yeah.
including reducing your risk of diabetes, heart disease, all of these things. Like the literature is all there,
Yeah.
and I think that we all know that to at least a certain extent.
Yeah.
Um, but like I say, the more you get into it, the more you'll get like, oh my gosh, like this is really, really important. You know what I'm saying? So whereas I first got into fitness because I just wanted to look good, I wanted some muscles and stuff like that, I stayed in fitness because it literally completely changed my life, the trajectory of my life. I wouldn't be the person who I am today
Okay.
without fitness,
Yeah.
So it's always good to look good.
Yeah. Yep. That's for
But
sure.
feeling good, operating good, having that mental clarity, having that stress management. It's a good stress management tool. All of those things are just as important, if not more important. So
Okay.
that's why I think fitness is
I
important.
have a question that you might not really be prepared for, but here we go.
I hope I can answer it.
What would you say to someone that is good on the nutrition part of health, but they don't prioritize working out? Why would that be something that they need to incorporate, even though they have other pieces of health
Yeah.
figured out?
Well, what are their goals? I would ask first what their goals are.
Just overall health. I'm
Overall
speaking
general
generally,
health.
but I'm speaking generally, but low key, like, I am that person, and I
Hmm.
don't work out consistently enough, and
Hmm.
I know I don't. It's
Yeah.
it's it's kind of like, when it comes to health, it's kind of at the bottom of my
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not.
No.
I sound like such a hypocrite, but literally that is what it is for me, and I'm trying to do better. Start doing some
Uh-huh.
strength training. So, like, what
Yeah.
would you tell me or people like me?
Um, I train a lot of elderly people currently because I contract for a company called Benefit, and the clients they give me are mostly older people, mostly
Okay.
like 70. Like I train a couple. I just finished training them. Actually, that they're 95
Oh wow.
and 89 years old.
Okay.
and they're only able to move. They use canes like sometimes, but they don't use wheelchairs or anything like that. They do squats, they do curls, they do presses, a lot of different things that allow them to move. You know what I'm saying? But then I have other clients that can barely get up off their chair.
Yeah.
You know, I have clients that everything is in pain all day, and that's because they didn't work on strengthening those muscles. They didn't work on their movement quality, you know, the integrity of the joint and tissue tolerance, because as you get older, you lose strength, you lose power first, which is your ability to move things fast.
Yeah.
So getting up suddenly is like one of those things that involve power.
Okay.
You know, I had a client that she was just upset because she couldn't lift up her plates and put it in the cupboard.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I helped her. She couldn't even lift her arm up above her head, and I got her to where she can now lift her arms up straight
Wow.
above her head. So I think that we have to think about what we're missing out on in the future, especially if we're generally healthy now. Because
Yeah.
nutrition is amazing. We have so much benefits from eating well,
Yeah.
but that only takes you so far. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The sleep and the working out, though, that's a trifecta. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You have all of those locked in, you're gonna be looking good, you're gonna be feeling good, you're gonna be moving good for the rest of your life. And for people who are into health, should be thinking about longevity. And I think that if we're thinking about longevity, then we have to include fitness in the conversation. Um, Otherwise we're just not doing ourselves the diligence that we need to be.
No, absolutely. That was beautifully said. I appreciate that. And you've just motivated me a little bit more to like get on it and stop making excuses. Um,
Yes.
I know, have you heard of the trans theoretical model of change?
Say it one more time.
It's the trans theoretical model of change. Have you ever heard of that?
Trans theoretical model of change.
Yeah. So
No,
in
not by name.
nutrition, okay. You probably have heard of it, but like you said, not by name. People are ready for change at the stage that they're at. So there's 5 different stages. One is pre-contemplation. It talks about thinking
Oh
about
yes, yes,
changing,
yes.
not thinking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-contemplation, not thinking about changing. Contemplation, thinking about it, but not
Mm-hmm.
implementing any behavior changes. Preparation,
Mm-hmm.
you're ready for the change, but you're not starting to do anything. Then there's action, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
maintenance. Um,
Yeah, I
so
did know that.
yeah. So the reason I bring it up is because when it comes to getting people to get from that pre-contemplation stage to that
Mm.
maintenance or action stage, what do you think is the best way to implement sustainable habits for that?
So you want to know about the habits required. You don't want to know about the what's needed to get them over the edge to even implement the habits.
I think I want to
Because
know about both. Yeah, maybe my question wasn't phrased too well, but
no,
yes.
that's a good question. It's just the issue for me is that the people who are in the pre-contemplation don't really care.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get somebody to implement habits towards something that they don't care about. So you
Yeah.
have to have that change in mindset first.
Yeah.
Then that makes you want to start taking steps towards bettering yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So we need that mental shift first. And a way that we gain that mental shift is of course first by increasing in knowledge.
Okay.
Um, and you might want to start increasing in knowledge because you might want to change. Well,
Yeah.
deep down you want to change, or you might just be saying you want to change, but it's not that serious to you yet. So it's like you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see. All right, then you're gonna be like, I don't like how I look. I got a fupa or whatever. That's gonna start like, okay, I might start Googling now how to lose weight or how to build muscle or how to build a booty or six pack or whatever.
Okay.
But what's gonna get me over the edge um, is getting clear on why these things are now important to you in conjunction with the knowledge that I'm gaining.
Right.
Because I always, when I talk to prospective clients, I always try to dig deep on the why behind their goals. That
Yeah.
is more than just physical. Like I don't just want people to be like, hey, I want to lose weight because I want to look good next year for carnival.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's cool and that's
Yeah.
important. And I want to look good for carnival. I'm trying to go to carnival. You know what I'm saying? But it's just not enough for
Yeah.
you to want to like put um you're not going to want to put your time, effort, energy, and money into it. That's not an important enough goal for you to value as much. the Bible says where your treasure is, your heart is.
Yeah.
So what you value, you put your money into, and then that gives you the feedback for your heart changing to value the thing that you're putting your money into. And you're
Right.
going to put your money into more things that you value. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a
It's a
loop.
cycle.
Yeah, it's a cycle. So we need to have real emotional ties to the change that we want to make.
Yeah.
And once we have that emotional tie, then we'll want to put our money where our mouths are.
Yeah.
And then that'll make it easier to take the steps. And that's why getting a coach is so important for a lot of people, because if you're paying somebody $100 a session to come to you and work out, and that's, if someone trains, if I train somebody 4 times a week at $100 a session, that's 400 a week, 1,600 a month, depending on where their income is. That's like a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
That's going to be a larger motivation
To
towards doing
go.
what you have to do. And once you took that first step, you're going to obviously want to do the other things necessary to make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck. So if I'm already
Yeah.
paying for this trainer, I'm going to now start making changes in my nutrition and everything else, because I understand that, hey, I need to get results because I put the money into it.
Right.
So money's a great motivator.
Yeah.
But another big thing, well, and it goes into the same, just finding the right motivation and finding the right conviction to elicit that emotions. What I
Yeah.
have my clients do now that I just started having them do is I started making them contemplate death and the worst case scenario behind if they don't make changes now. So like someone's gaining weight progressively. Okay, now what's the worst case scenario
Yeah.
of that? Are you obese and can't walk, can't move, can't do the things that you love, can't be there for the friends, or for your friends, family, etc. Not
Yeah.
making as much money because you just can't be more present. You have brain fog, all of these things. What's the worst case scenario for if you don't start taking your health and your fitness and your wellness and your mindset seriously?
Seriously.
If
Yeah.
you just keep saying, hey, I'm gonna build this business, or I'm going to get this six pack, or I'm gonna, whatever the goal is, you just keep talking, and the years down the line, you just talking, you took no action. What does that
Yeah.
look like for your life now in the worst case? And once you do that and you really sit down in darkness and think about it, it's gonna make
Yeah.
you cry. And it's
Yeah.
really going to elicit like an emotional change. Like, I need to do better. And I got that from learning from these millionaire entrepreneurs, that they think about death a lot because it helps them to remember why they're doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
and why they're doing it at the highest level that they're doing it, because they get their priorities in order. I feel like a lot of the time we think about the goals and the haves,
Yeah.
and that's only one half of it. But if we actually think about the have nots, then we have more gratitude.
Yeah.
And then when you have more gratitude, you have more respect for the thing that you're trying to do. And if you have more respect for it, then you're going to do those things that you got to do. It's the same thing with us, with God, right? Like, if the more
Yeah.
we have faith in God and we respect him for who he is and what he's done for us, it's going to now create that emotional response. And now we're going to start acting on our faith.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I just want to recall everything you kind of just said. So
Yeah.
basically,
Sorry.
to help build, no, it's fine. To build some sustainable habits, you're saying that you need to know what your why is and to think about what would happen if you didn't do it. So those are the two main points. So can you give me some examples of what some strong whys would be for some people? Or I guess some of the clients that you've had already?
Some of them were bullied when they were younger for their weight. You know what I'm saying? Not comfortable in their skin. Some of them have actual medical issues that cause them to make a change. That they don't make that change, then they might lose their lives, or
Right.
at least the quality of life that they're living now. Um, yeah, stuff like that. Some people have kids and they want to be able to, and they see that they have a trend, and if they don't reverse that trend, that they might not be able to be present for their
Yeah.
kids' lives, or even if they're present for their kids' lives, they might not be able to play with their kids, or because they run down the block and are out of breath and feel like they're gonna pass out.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I have if I'm in person training, I'll make my client run around the block, and then they come back and they feel like they're gonna die, and I'm just like, hey, remember that feeling, like,
Mm,
remember that feeling, because if you remember that feeling, you're never gonna want to feel like that again.
yeah. Oof.
And And these are the things that, as you lose motivation as you go down the line, because you will lose motivation, these are the things that you come back to that help to reignite that motivation and
Yeah.
that discipline for you, because motivation is important. I know we're trying to say like, hey, discipline is more important than motivation, but if we can use them in tandem and know
Yeah.
how to actually hack and maneuver your motivation so it can work for you, um, I feel like that's important, and it'll make it much easier to stay disciplined for a long
Okay.
period of time. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wish I was local because you sound like you really know what you're doing. I could use a trainer, honestly. My second to last question for you is how you're about to be a dad. And I really think it's important for us to create habits in our children, so that they're, so for me, I did not move my body a lot as a child. Um, all the schools I went to focused on guys playing basketball, and even my father, it was like the boys and the girls. My sister and I would go on the swings while they're at the court shooting
Playing
hoops or whatever.
basketball. Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. And all the extracurricular activity I had was choir. So, I never had a foundation of movement. And I think that's also part of the reason why I'm slow to create sustainable habits in that area of my life. And I just haven't been passionate about it. That's changing. The more I move, the more I'm like, I love this feeling is awesome. So
Mhm.
I'm in the action stage of that. Haven't quite gotten to the maintenance. So the question I'm asking is, what do you think that we can do to help create fitness habits in our children so that they're set up for adulthood?
That's fire. Um, I'm having a boy,
Yes.
so it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say that they're innately more active. It's just, I think in society we give them more attention, um, to in terms of like things relating to fitness and sports and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
feel like just, if it's a girl, just being intentional
Hmm.
with giving them that same amount of attention and ability to explore, putting them in sports, seeing what they cling to and what they like more than others, and then letting them go all in on that one that they choose. But also practicing what you preach and being that example too. Because now, if I go to the gym and I bring them with me, like in the apartment I'm in right now, there's a gym in the apartment. So
Yeah.
say I had my son here and I brought him to the gym and he
Hmm.
saw me working out, he would just try to start picking things up and just learning and mimicking what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I think that, that um mirroring those patterns, there's a simple word that I'm not getting, but just them being able to, like, modeling,
Yeah.
them able to see a model of what a healthy and fit lifestyle looks like. I feel like that does more than 80% of the job, and then the other 20% would just be giving them the space to do what they want to do and to have fun, you
Yeah.
know.
I love that answer. I think you're 100% correct. My daughter was on FaceTime today and she's showing someone how to do crunches because she saw me doing crunches. So
Yeah,
yeah, they do everything
they're
that
like
you do.
sponges. they're
They
they're
are.
like sponges. I hear their brain mostly, uh there's like a specific brain wave that we use when we're sleeping,
Yeah.
that they use like throughout their whole childhood when they're awake more often, that makes them more creative and helps them like take in more information.
Yeah.
So, they're
That's
seeing
beautiful.
everything and they're using it, so we have to be really, really careful and intentional, with just how we operate, because literally it's each one teach one. The-
Yeah. I love that. I didn't know that about the brainwaves, so that's good to know. Okay, so we're coming to the end.
yeah.
Thank you for coming on and everything. This was wonderful. But can you tell everybody where they can reach you at?
Yeah, so, I'm Levar Richmond on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Um, Moved by Faith Fitness on TikTok and Instagram. And then I have my own podcast as well, Built by Faith Podcast.
Hmm.
Um, so you can find me in all those places, interact with me, ask me questions. I'm here.
Thank you. So I'm gonna put all that in the show notes. So if you guys want to find him, it'll be right there. Okay. That is all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for spending your time listening to me. I hope you join me in the next one to learn more about health topics that can help you improve your life so you can be happy in your dwelling place. Love y'all.